Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Um, I am trying to get Analog updated. If you guys didn't see Analog 1.0 released, which is huge for the Analog platform, but as you can see, I've got a little bit of an issue here. I'm trying to work through. Hey TVD Gamer, good evening to you also. Thank you for joining. It's been a bit of a crazy day at work today, but for whatever reason, npm install analog.js, grpc, analog.js, analog.js, trpc. So here we've got the 1.0, 1.0.0-rc .1. Wonder why I can't get trpc to work. Code eTarget, no target matching version found for package version that doesn't exist. We can see that it exists here. And if we look here, version tag, maybe we'll try the beta.5 version. It looks like maybe the RC1 isn't there. So beta 5. We'll see if this works, hopefully. And this is, I mean, this can happen when you're trying to upgrade to a package right away. But if we go look at Analog here and in the docs, or at least here, let's see, in the changelog, no, yeah, changelog. So it's also 1.0 RC1. No, there's the 1.0 tag. Happened 4 hours ago. But let's see if the beta 5 tag will work for the TRPC. We aren't using TanStack anywhere yet. To be honest, I don't even know if we're going to use it. Maybe I'll just remove that library. We aren't using it at all. And we can add it if we need to use it later. I mean, there's no reason to use it if we're not using it, right? There's no reason to have it if we're not using it, but it looks like it made it past. So yeah, there we go. So we've just upgraded to Analog version 1.0 as soon as this finishes. And I was hoping to have this done. I just ran into this issue just before just before the stream. So if we look at what's left to upgrade, one thing I did want to call out is that we're on Angular 17.3. I made that upgrade. Angular 18, the next version was released today also. And there is some good stuff in here. So the easiest fix is to change the component to change detection strategy .defaults. So there's some component fixture auto detect. So this is an interesting change. So it's not the it's not a change to the way on push works, but it's possible that people have marked components as on pushed and they aren't using them as true on push components. So they aren't getting marked for check. Instead, their application is causing a change detection cycle someplace else. This change to the component fixture will will fix that so that you can detect when you're not doing on push properly. Angular runs change detection. It will continue to refresh any views attached to application ref that are still marked for check. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in 18. We could take a look at. I'm not ready to go to 18. I don't even know that analog is ready for 18. So we may have to do like a special 18 stream because there's some cool stuff in there. But with 17.3, we get the output binding. I think that's what this refers to. No, here it is right here. So the new output bindings, and there's a way to do it from observables. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff around the output signal binding and then observables. This is a big one, upgrading to TypeScript 5.4. Return a read-only signal on as read-only. That's kind of cool. And then destroy ref on event emitters. Those are all kind of cool stuff too. Exclude caching for authenticated HTTP requests. That's interesting. Yeah, so there's definitely some changes here that we need to take a look at. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here that we can upgrade. And now we can go to TypeScript 5.4. We look at TypeScript. And if we go to the docs, and where do they keep their release notes? No. Project configuration. What's new? Well, they don't even have 5.4 released here. That's interesting. TypeScript 5.4 release notes. So here's the 5.4 release. And so preserve narrowing and closures following last assignments. So the nice thing is that in the closure, now it understands things before that would get broken. And you can see that kind of here. That's been fixed. Oh, the no infer. This one's interesting and one that I need to learn. But you can mark things as no infer in your types. And basically that tells TypeScript, hey, don't dig much deeper to match the inner types. So here with the no infer C, then yeah, now you can use the red, yellow, or green stuff here, whereas before, yeah, before you couldn't do that. Before adding blue, it would allow it because it's a string, so it would dig into the type of C, and then because C is a string, it would go back up and set the array type also. Now with the no infer, you can keep that from happening, which is really cool. I need to dig into that even more. I don't use object.groupby and map.groupby very often, so this one doesn't affect me too much. Checked import attributes and assertions, not JSON. Interesting. Quick fix for adding missing parameters. So we got some nice quick fixes here. Auto import or subpath import. So that's really cool. So that should help. That should help some of the weird imports that you would get if you use TypeScript. Notable behavior changes. I don't know. There's a lot in here. The no infer was the one that I was really excited about. And I'm looking forward to testing that one out. But let's go ahead and let's get the rest of the stuff upgraded. So, I think I'm going to leave all of that marked and leave all the rest not marked and see what happens. And then we'll see if we can serve our project. And after that, we'll be good to go. I experimented with GraphQL subscriptions with my Signal Store stuff over the weekend. That was my big achievement of the week. One of the saltiest streams I've done this year was one of my GraphQL streams, man. GraphQL subscriptions and using them with stores actually wound up being pretty frustrating to me, specifically around the caching. GraphQL, and it's Apollo GraphQL specifically, was very aggressive in the way it was caching things. And I remember getting very, very salty in one of my streams around that. Luckily, the GraphQL team actually reached out to me afterwards and helped bring me down from my anger. But I'm impressed. That is a big, big accomplishment just from my own personal experience. So way to go, TBD Gamer. Very impressed with what you managed to do. Let's see. I think I forgot. Yeah. So we will say that we upgraded at analog.js to 1.0 release and upgraded dependencies. So there we go. We're now in a good place there. So hopefully, because I pushed that, I haven't broken anything. I haven't even. So let's see, NX serve, and let's serve the blog, and hopefully the blog still works. There may be some changes or things that we've got to track down. Config from blog vconfig.ts. We've got some issues. So we've got some issues with the platform itself. It's resolving to an ESM file. ESM files cannot be loaded by require. vconfig.ts is complaining about that. Well, let's go take a look at our vconfig and see if we can figure out what's going on there. So if we look, I actually don't see a vconfig. There it is. So this is our vconfig. What's here is that it's complaining that it can't load this analog.js platform. I'm curious. We're just going to take out the TS. We're going to take out the TRPC stuff. And TRPC. So we've got a TRPC file in context.ts. TRPC client. We've also got a TRPC TS file. We've also got TRPC routes. So maybe me doing that is not a good idea. Let's try something quick here. So let's rename node modules to node modules.bak. And we're going to want to shut this down. So just update this, and that's going to shut it down anyway. And it's making noises at me. Why is it making noises at me? Restart to activate. Yes, please restart. Okay. So now it's able to move it. Now that I shut that down, we'll leave it shut down for now. And let's just go ahead and npm install. We'll see what we get. And we'll delete the old backup file. We got that. Considering the state complexity of client-side frameworks in 2024 and the lack of complexity of back-end architectures, I don't understand how anyone could say they are full stack. So much stuff to take in. Yeah, you're touching on a little bit of a sore spot for me right now. Because front end is often looked down on or looked at as being easy, right? And you'll be in discussions with like product owners and things like that, where they'll they'll say, oh yeah, the front end stuff's easy. We got to worry about the APIs. We got to worry about the back end. I don't know. it gets a little bit frustrating. So I'll agree with you there, TBD Gamer. Yeah, just add a button. Exactly. It's really easy. There's not much to what you're doing. Just whatever, right? So let's see if we can serve this now. Now that we've just replaced our entire, nope, it still doesn't like it. And it's this analog platform. So that's resolving to an ESM file. And I don't know what is causing that. ESM file cannot be loaded by require. So we recommend converting your config to ESM either by adding type module to the nearest package.json or renaming viteconfig to viteconfig.mjs or MTS. Okay. Let's try the renaming route. I've had to do that before. So viteconfig is in our Angular blog. So if we rename this to be, oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go, viteconfig.mts. Yes, we're going to change it. And let's see if that will work. I may have to go in and figure out where the viteconfig is loaded from. Yeah, viteconfig.ts. We're gonna have to go find where that is. We'll go ahead and pop open WebStorm and jump into our project. And we will search for vite.config. So here, the config file. Okay. We just need to tell it that now it's an MTS file. And let's see if that works for us. ECMAScript, yeah, require an import is ECMAScript versus network use -- host to expose. We have more issues. Will this not serve? No, it's serving. Let's see if we've got issues with the. So it seems to be working okay. It's loading our components and stuff. So there was an interesting case, and we'll see if we can hit that case with it. We might have to go in and modify it, but if there's exactly 5 articles here, we run into an interesting case that I would like to fix, and then jump into that. But yeah, the big difference between require and import, and I've had to make this same fix. So at Bill, and I'm not sure what's going here. Analog plugin Nitro. So it didn't find the Nitro for the middleware, and I'm not sure what that might do for us. We'll have to take a look. Hopefully it's not doing anything bad for us, but we'll see. But anyway, I got distracted. So for work, I wrote a tool because we were taking a look at how much a certain library was used within the entire repo. Well, not the entire repo, within a subtree of the repo. And so I wrote a tool that went and used the Angular compiler to build the Angular AST, and then walked that AST and grabbed different components out and then compared them. And so we could tell if they were, well, I didn't even grab components. I was just grabbing root nodes from that tree. And so we could tell if the node was an HTML node, and if it was an HTML node, if it had directives on it that were related to that module, or if it was a component from that module, or if it was a component from other modules, and it walked it and grabbed all of that. But to be able to use the Angular compiler, I also had to create an MTS file. So it's not that big of a difference to me, or that big of a deal, but definitely something to be aware of, right? And how to solve this issue. But let's go take a look. So we fixed that up. Actually, let's commit this, right? Because fixed compile after upgrade. So there we go. We've now got that fix in place. And so now we're in a good place where if I make a mistake now, we can get back to it. Anyway, let's see. On Sunday, we did this date time helper. What I'm looking for is the article container. And inside of here, for the secondary articles, we're grabbing it from this articles array that we create up here. And we're doing between 5 and 12. So really, if I want exactly 5, well, actually, let's do it this way. Let's comment this out. And then we'll copy this line and uncomment this line. We'll make this line exactly 5. So we can just take out faker here. And just make it a 5. That's going to give us exactly 5 articles, so we can easily reproduce it. And that's why I like to use tools like this for creating things. It becomes easy. An IDE error occurred. NX console. Interesting. What's going on with my console? I'm not sure what caused that error, but so we reloaded, and now we should have exactly 5 articles, and now we do. And now we can see that we're getting this weird, actually it's not as, there we go. That's where we get the weirdness. So it's causing some shrinking here. If we take a look, let's inspect our grid here. This is our grid. And so we can see that the grid is changing. Well, it's not changing size. It's just that one fraction, we can see up here, right? The one fraction is jumping or is dropping from 330.67 down to 325 because of the scroll bar on the side. So how do we solve that? Um, and one way we can do it is we've got enough space here on the side. And we won't have this issue on like phones and things like that. So, you know, if we go to like the iPhone 12, we don't have this issue because first, we don't have the hover effect. But second, we don't have the grid the same way, right? So it's only in our desktop. And in our desktop or and it's not even desktop, right? Because if we go to like responsive and we change this over to be custom or responsive here, as we grow, it's only when we get to the size where we've got double columns. So here we're going to have the same issue. We can't see it right now because it's doing touch for us. But I guess we can simulate the same thing, right? Like when we drop down to this size, we're getting the same issue. But even at this size, we've still got this gutter over here. So there's a way to specify in CSS that we're going to use a gutter for the scroll bar, and that will prevent the scroll bar from causing issues with our site. I mean, the other way to do it is to only show like 4 articles here, but I want to be able to, have this be scrollable. And it's only if there's 5. Actually, it might happen if there's 6. I'm curious about that. So let's make the length 6 here. Yeah, so we're getting the same issue where when we click things, we don't want things to jump around, especially when people are clicking or hovering or doing stuff like that. We want our layout to stay fairly set. And so we need to figure out CSS scroll bar gutters, right? And so we can reserve space for the scroll bar. Yeah. The outer padding edge. So here, it's adding symmetric spacing. Overflow hidden, scroll bar gutter stable. Overlay scroll bars. So I think we can just use scroll bar gutter stable. So let's go look at Tailwind and just see if they've got in their docs. Let's see if they've got gutters. No. Scroll bar. So they control scroll snap type. What's the scroll margin? With the scroll offset around items with a snap container. Oh. So this scroll has a snap on it. So it's going to scroll to the edge. And they're showing here that they're adding margins to handle that. Scroll padding. will change scroll behavior. Nope. This is the text area that can resize. Over focus. What are they using scroll padding for? The scroll offset of an element with a snap container. Oh, okay. So they're just padding where it scrolls to. Let's just see if they have Tailwind scroll bar gutter. They don't have it. You would have to add. Having tried scroll bar gutter, I found that it conflicts in case you have a full width element in the background. Well, support for scroll bar width and scroll bar color would be great. You're only supported in Firefox, yeah. Scroll bar gutter is supported in Chrome and Firefox and Safari. So yeah, scroll bar utilities. So we'd have to add a special case. So instead of doing that, what we can do is inside of here, we've got all these classes. I was going to say that so if we go into our styles.scss or styles.css, right? Inside of here, we've got a couple of things. We're applying stuff to H3. We've got the hover stuff for the articles to make them bigger and smaller. But we could also add inside of here, we could add stable gutters. And here we could just do scroll bar gutter stable. So there we go. And now we can go back to our main article here. And we can add our scroll bar stable. Oh no, not the main article. We want the article container. So here, we should be able to add our scroll bar stable class, and that should solve our issue. No. Are we getting the scroll bar stable for this? There's our scroll bar stable. When we add the scroll bar stable, oh, it didn't pick it up. So it's there, but here, if we do our scroll bar dash gutter stable, boom. So we're losing a little bit, but now when the scroll bar shows up, it's not causing issues. The problem we've got is that on both sides we're now losing some space, and so we can probably change that behavior. We do both edges. Oh, it doesn't support both edges. Really? I wonder why. Let's go back and look at MDN. So browser compatibility. We've got the gutter. We've got auto. We've got stable. But we can't do both edges, even though it offers it to us. Oh, stable both edges. That's what I've got to do. So here, if we go in, we can do stable both edges. And now it's going to chew up the same amount on both sides. You know, I don't like that we're having a scroll bar show up and then disappear. But that, I mean, really it has to do with a very edge case where we've made it to the bottom, but one way around this, we're growing just slightly. So one thing we could do is we could add just a padding bottom. So we could do like a padding bottom of 4 pixels, or of 4. That's going to pull us up off the bottom, and that's going to solve our issue also. If we look at our grid, now that we've got the scroll bar stuff in here, I think that, we do have a small issue. So let's go back to the main article and let's go back to like we'll go between like 3, well, let's comment this out and say between 3 and 12 articles. We'll go up to 3 and 16 and we'll uncomment this one. So with the scroll bar there, let's look at this, inspect this. So our container, actually, I think adding that that small bit of spacing to the bottom has solved a lot of our issue. It's like in this case, we've already got the scroll bar. Our gutter is stable, so we're getting a little bit more spacing over here. We could go, actually, you know what? We don't even have that in place, do we? We go inspect this. It hasn't picked up that change. We can see the scroll bar stable here, but we aren't getting the class. What's overriding my padding here? Padding top, padding bottom. Padding, oh, it's the medium. So at medium, we get more padding. So let's go back to our styles.scss, right? Or styles.css. And we'll do stable both edges. And let's see if that got picked up at all. If I refresh, do we get that? So if we inspect this, scroll bar auto stable, we've got the scroll bar dash stable. Oh, I called it scroll bar gutters. I called it stable gutters. That's my problem. And you guys were probably, yeah, it is quite jarring, isn't it, to see the way that that's behaving. You guys were probably screaming at your screens, you're using the wrong class name. I definitely am. So article container. And inside of here, it's not scroll bar stable. It is stable dash gutters. So there we go. So now, if I inspect this, we'll see that we've now got the stable dash gutters. And so if we go look, there we go. So without that, you'll notice that it pushes us over. So adding that stable gutters also makes the experience a little bit better. One thing we could probably do is, let's see, do I have VisBug? Yes, I do. So with VisBug, we can click like here, right? And it will show us that, and let's move this out of the way. So here we're 62 pixels from the edge of the screen and 62 over here. If we turn off the scroll bar gutter stable, now we're 44 pixels from that side and 61 from this side. Actually, it's changing depending on the size, right? But they're not the same. But we can see that really we probably want 44 from both edges. But when we make them stable like this, now they're both the, it's hilarious, depending on what I do, the size is different. But we can see that, you know, we're 81 pixels from each side, and we would probably like to be closer to the 40 whatever. So we can do that, right? So we can turn off VisBug now. And VisBug is an amazing tool when you're doing design. And so what we can say is if we're medium, 16 pixels. No, we're doing padding 16. Let's try taking that down to like P8 on a medium. Or we'll do P12. Let's see what P12 gives us. Because I don't want to give up too much space to the side. So at P12, we're definitely closer, right? And if we look at VisBug again, and we'll just grab this. Come on. There we go. So, again, we'll just grab this, right? No. Grab that. Come on. It's not wanting to play nicely. Come on. I just grab it over here with if I grab this and grab that. There we go. So we can see that we're 48 from the edge, and I like that better. So with the scroll bar, we're 48 from the edge. Let's see if we can get down to like 3 articles. Oh, that one worked. So here we go. So with this one, if we turn on VisBug, and we'll grab this element again. Come on. There we go. So here we're 44 from the edges. So we can see that we're 44 from the edges and, you know, between 10 and 16 from the top. And I'm good with that. Oh, I mean, depending on where we grow to, right? But we're staying pretty consistently, you know, the same way away from the edges. And it looks, you know, it looks okay. We aren't losing a lot to the sides. So I'm good with that. And here we aren't getting the scroll bar anymore because of the padding from the bottom. That was probably, well, that was the right fix, right? To add the padding to the bottom, because now we don't get the scroll bar jumping in and out on the side. So we just gave ourselves a little bit of space to grow into. And, you know, we don't have that issue anymore. And then here, the scroll bar is already there, but we've evened up the amount of space on each side, so each side looks better. The scroll bar has become part of our page rather than, you know, I don't know what to call it, but yeah, even at this size, right? We look okay. We've got the same amount of size edge to edge, which gives us more size in the middle, actually. Well, not really. It just looks better. Not really. What did I even say that for? It's not really that. Is that tool VisBug or FizzBug? My ears are messed up. It's VisBug with a V. So VISBUG. And this was suggested to me by Kevin Powell. So when I watch his streams, He uses this tool quite a, or not stream. Well, I haven't turned into a stream, but in his YouTube stuff, he uses this quite a bit. But there's a whole bunch of cool tools in here, right? So we can see that this H3 has text center and truncate on it. And we can see exactly how big it is. We can see all sorts of stuff about colors and font weights and all of that stuff with this info. With the, with this other tool, with the ruler tool, you can select things in the document and then see how far away they are from other things, and how they line up with things. And so we can see that, that there's 12 pixels around it, and then 16 over here, and then we're 132 from the edge, because it's, not counting this middle piece here. So the ruler is really cool. This gives us a whole bunch of information about accessibility. So we can see like our WCAG compliance. Our contrast ratio is a 1. So that's probably not good. So our contrast ratio actually isn't good. With a contrast ratio of 1, we can actually do better. Yeah, you can look at, contrast ratios, and we can see that we aren't meeting the compliance, which is interesting. I'm curious if any of their themes do. So I'm going to turn on the light. That's interesting that this foreground, so the foreground on the background is saying that the contrast ratio isn't high enough. That's really strange. I would have expected it to be higher. Do we have, like, I thought these were designed to be, oh, it thinks the foreground color is white. That's interesting. Even here, like the foreground of black with a background of black, it's not. That's interesting. That's why my stuff is all messed up. Yeah, it did. It did clean up a lot of the jumping around, and that's, we don't want to make our users sick. I'm not sure why this isn't working, because this is definitely not a black background. We can see the color here. Is not that, but if you're doing black on black, of course it's a 1 contrast ratio. And again here, it's showing, it thinks we're doing white on white, which we're not. So there's a bug in whatever we're doing here, because I would have expected this stuff to be a lot better. This one actually allows you to move elements, which is kind of crazy. You can resize your elements in your DOM. It's not going to let me do it because I'm using grid and stuff, and they're being sized to the grid. But with this, you can actually resize elements within your oh, there we go. It's not working. But you can use this to resize elements and play around with sizes. This one allows you to play with the margins. And when you're hovering, you can also see, that you can do movements here. So if you want to line up some margins, it's hard to see, but you can use the arrows, right? So Alt does less on the margins. Control does all sides, and arrow keys do normal stuff. So like with this, you can see I'm moving the margins around, which, top margin, bottom margin, right margin, left margin. And then if I want to make them smaller, I can hold down the Alt key. Is it Shift? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can do with margins here. This is a padding, very similar, where you can mess with the padding. This will allow you to do Flexbox stuff, which is kind of crazy. And then here you can change your colors. Another crazy thing to do. And this, allows you to add shadows and mess with your shadows. And positioning, this is kind of crazy that you can, drag your stuff around. And then, you've got fonts that you can change. So just a lot of stuff in here. And I mean, you can even edit the text if you want, find elements. And then, you've got color pickers. This is saying that the foreground color is black. So let's do that. And then we'll make this like a blue, and see, it's not affecting things. So I've got something set up weird, but you can see that, I mean, with VisBug, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. And to get it, you just grab it in the Chrome store. So if we go store, let's see, Chrome store. In the Chrome Web Store, if you just go in here and you search for VisBug, this is the one. I'll put that in chat. And they're really, really cool tools. I love them. Got another one that allows me to see styles. So if we go back to that page and I undo everything I did in VisBug, show me the styles is another tool. So you can see the fonts that we've got, the body that we're using, and then, how big is our CSS and how much time does it take to load it. And then we can even see like colors. It will give us all the colors from the page. And then we can see like assets. So like pictures and things like that. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here. You can also do with show me the styles. It's another one, just add it from the store. What else do I have? That's Redux Dev Tools. I think that's all I've got. I think this is, Wave. Wave is really cool because Wave will give us information about, where we are with accessibility. So like we've got one severe error, and so we're missing alt text on our image. So this image should have alt text, and the reason for that is like vision impaired people, right? If they're accessing our site and we've got a picture, and we're visually communicating something, they don't know what that is, right? And so we can clean that up by going into our main article container. And inside of here, if we go look at the image tag, we don't have any of the so we could add the alt text equals and image representing article, right? We probably want that to be better. But can I run prettier here? No, it doesn't understand analog. Okay. But so now that we've added that alt, if we go back and we look, we can see that now we don't have any serious errors. The nice thing is we don't have contrast errors either. And so that's ugly. If we remove all the styles, this is what the page looks like. Actually, it's not too bad. And so this is another tool that we can do to hunt down accessibility stuff, right? So we do have some alerts that we should probably clean up. So like we're missing a label, a select element doesn't have an associated label, and it goes into why we should have those issues or why we should fix those. And other things we can look at is like tab orders. So the only thing that we can tab into is the dark element up here. So our articles aren't selectable. And that is a bit of an issue because it's not just a bit of an issue, it is an issue because navigation can become much more difficult. So yeah, we've got missing labels. Got to skip heading level. So here we've jumped straight to an H3. So we've got an H1 and then an H3, but we didn't use H2 anywhere. So it's telling us that we've skipped a heading label. And then we've got some redundant title text. What is that? Oh, so for this one, our title, they're saying is the same as the text inside. The reason for that is that when we hover, the title will show up. And so it's saying that it's redundant, but this is what allows us to see what's in there. Screen readers won't have the truncation, but we will. And then features. So we do have the alternative text, we do have the language, and then it's telling us that, yeah, we're using good structural elements, and that we are using a header and stuff like that. So we're doing a lot better than I typically have in the past. And it's because slowly I'm learning how to use accessibility and things like that. So some more things to be aware of as we're working through as you're working through sites, right? Make sure that your accessibility is good and that you're not providing a bad experience to somebody else. One thing that would be nice, I want to go build the actual article stuff, and probably going to use AI to help us generate some articles and put actual articles in here with actual blurbs and stuff. But one thing that would be nice is like if I go in and say I set this to synthwave, right? But as soon as we refresh, synthwave goes away. And so how do we handle that case, right? Where somebody's gone to the trouble, and I'm not going to pick Cyberpunk because it's crazy. But like, somebody's gone to the trouble of picking Halloween because they want to use the Halloween colors. So, what do we do? How do we keep that in the storage, right? So let's fix that up, and then we'll get into building actual articles. Actually, before we do that, let's make sure that we commit, right? So here, we'll just say that we fixed content jumping and weird scroll bar issues. That's going to help us out there. We're good there. So we're using the theme store. And our theme store is what's providing our theme for us. Right now, the initial state is the dark theme, right? And we've got these methods. But I saw an interesting idea. I think Marco was the one who showed it to me. I don't remember. But we can do with, and here we want with, that's life cycle, right? With hooks. So with hooks will allow us to do, and we need to import that. Or is it just telling us that we aren't doing it right? Yeah. So here we can just say state, and we're going to return the object with our hooks, right? And there are a couple of hooks that we can do. So there is an init hook, and we can say, hey, when our state initializes, let's set up an effect that will read to the. We'll set up an effect that will write our stuff to local storage, and the other thing we'll do is we will read from local storage. So let's do that, right? So the first thing we'll do is we'll read from the local storage. So we can say const from storage equals, and yeah, we'll just say local storage.get theme, right? And now we can add our effect. So our effect is this, and we can import the effect from Angular Core. I think I got it from the right place. Yep, I did. And so here, now we can say that we need to be watching something, right? So state.theme, we're going to watch. And actually, we can just say local storage, boom, and here we need to read the theme, right? So now we're reading and writing from the theme, and then the last thing we want to do is we can just say if from storage, then we can set the theme with from storage, boom. And actually, we should do this before we set up the effect, just to prevent redundant writing, right? So we'll read from storage, then we set the theme, and now we've got an effect to write to the local storage. And here we can just say console.log writing to local storage. And here we can just say state.theme. And so now when we go back, so we've got this dark theme, and if we look at our console, we'll just reset, right? So we don't have anything, so it's defaulted to dark. If we go in and, you know, we like sunset, we can see we wrote sunset to local storage. And so now when we refresh, we come back with sunset. That one caught my attention. Yippee yuck. That makes me think of Die Hard. I don't know why yippee and yuck together made me think of Die Hard. But now, you know, the ooh, that's a little bright. So, you know, now we're writing to local storage. You could use the same thing, the same pattern that we're using here. You could, instead of writing to local storage, you could write this to like user settings, right? But this is a really, really easy way for you to potentially, like if you use your state to control your forms, then you could use this same setup with this on init hook to write partial forms to the store, and then you could clear it out, right, on save. So you could kill the local storage on save, and it would work just fine. And you know, we can come here and we can see, you know, we load fine. If we go into our application and we look at local storage here, we can see that the theme is written here. If we just delete this key and we refresh, then it's going to default to the dark theme, right? I'm used to seeing it in dark theme. You know, retro was a little dark. Halloween, gardens too bright. Forest. There we go. I do tend to like greens. Aqua is just way too blue, which is weird for me to say because I love blue. It's like one of my favorite colors. Pastel tends to be the way I make things look. The black theme's not bad either. Actually not too bad at all. But we'll leave it at sunset for now. But you know, just having that ability to do that. Oh, that's interesting. So when I change this, it's writing that event. Where's that coming from? Header component. Should get some of this console logging out of here so that we aren't logging a whole bunch of stuff. So the header component is doing our logging for us. Let's go see what we're logging in that header component. Let's set this back to sunset. What is dim? Oh, that's not bad. Winter's too bright. Coffee wasn't bad either. I don't know why I get so stuck on this stuff, right? But dim, it's like blues and greens. This speaks to me. This is like my language. So let's see what's going on here. So let's go take a look at the header component. And in our header component, oh, it's right here. We're logging the theme. So there we go. So now if we go take a look, now if I swap the theme to sunset, what? Where is that coming from? did it not rebuild? Let's just see what happens here. Let's see why that didn't change, because I clearly took that out of there. Am I doing any other logging in like maybe set theme? In the theme store, we aren't logging anything. So it is the header component where we're logging that theme. Oh, look at this, the after next render. We don't need that either. Means we can pull it out of there. That's where that logging is coming from. So that should. What did I do? How did I break inject? Oh, I took. That's how you break inject. You take the whole line out instead of just the file that you don't need. So there we go. So now if I change my theme, yeah, now we're not polluting our logs with a bunch of extra logging, and that's a good habit to get into, making sure that you know you're keeping the console log pretty clean. You know, part of it is security. You don't want to be leaking a whole bunch of stuff for people to be able to figure out what's going on. But the other part is, you know, if you're writing a whole bunch of the logs, you could be slowing down your application. We've shown before that you can create memory leaks by logging objects or components to the console. So you could be leaking memory on your you know, on your clients. And if you're doing other things where maybe you don't own the page, writing to the console could be messing up whoever owns the page. You could be messing up their logging system too. So, you know, be mindful of what you're putting into the console log. It might be doing more than you think. Let's go ahead and commit this. So that is us removing logging. Remove unnecessary logging. There we go. And then this one is adding the ability to set the theme. So added ability to keep theme in local storage. And you know, local storage is a good place to store stuff that isn't high priority. Is a good way to, I guess, a good way to put it, right? Us storing this information in local storage means that, you know, when they log in on another computer, if they visit our blog from another computer, because it's in local storage, the theme's going to default to dark until they set it on the new computer that they're on, right? Or on their phone or whatever. That's probably not that big of a deal, right? It might get annoying to somebody who uses like 5 or 10 devices throughout the day, right? Like maybe a work computer and maybe a laptop at school and maybe a phone while they're out and about and maybe their own laptop at home, right? It might get annoying to them, but still they're only setting that once. And I guess the one place where this might be localhost 4200. So here, you know, if somebody runs your site in in incognito mode all the time, then that this local host setting might be it might be annoying to them. However, if they're running your site in incognito, maybe they don't want to log in either. And so storing it along with the user settings in a database might not be realistic either. But as soon as we shut down here, the incognito mode is going to clean up everything, right? Like local storage, cookies, everything. So that's another thing to be aware of if you're using local storage. There's other things like session storage, but we want this to persist between login events. You could probably do it with a cookie, but then again, in incognito, cookies are going to go away. And the other thing is like local storage is for small stuff, right? If you want to go bigger than that, then you're probably wanting to look at your application. And let's pop this out. So if you want to go bigger than that, you probably want to use like the IndexedDB. So IndexedDB would allow you to store a lot more stuff and then query it and search it. But I don't think we have any. Do we have? No, we don't have any session storage. We just got the local storage, and it's small, right? It's just a one-word value. That's pretty good. They're private state tokens. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do now to store stuff, and even cache storage, right? That comes along with like your web workers and stuff like that. So there are a lot of ways that you can use to enhance your users' experience. So yeah. I'm just trying to figure out where we want to go next. So what I think we want to do is create an article route, right? Like all of these articles should all go to an article route. And that article route should be able to route back to the home route. So let's figure out how we can do that. And this is where we're going to have to do a little bit of learning. So for right now, what we'll do is we'll have this click event. And we could do it like a router.navigate. Yeah, that's probably the right way to go. So right now, we don't have like an article, right? Do we have articles? Oh, this is all of our articles. So we do have an articles route, but we don't have an article route. And to do that, we're again using route-based logging, right? So we could absolutely just change this to be we rename this. This is now our article. And that's now just changed all of the routes in our application. So now here, if I go here, that doesn't exist. So now we have to go to article, right? Did I break something by renaming that? Leave it to me to break something, right? That might be an interesting thing with just like file-based routing, but I'm curious if I restart, if my routes are going to be fixed. So here, if we route to /article, no, it still doesn't like it. Cannot match any routes. URL segment article. This is our article.page.analog. Inside of our pages, this is our router outlet. So I'm curious why this doesn't work. There's something here that it doesn't like. Styles. What's not liking about my styles here? Oh, yeah, it doesn't understand Tailwind. And so this colors.base doesn't work, right? Because it's saying that it expects a term. If I go to the marketplace, do we have a Tailwind plugin? Tailwind. I've already got it installed. So it might be, is that error coming from? I don't know where that error is coming from. I have to figure that out. We could look here. And it doesn't tell us. I'm not sure where those are coming from, but this analog or article.page.analog read all about it, right? Let's see if recompiling this will fix the issue. And if it doesn't, we'll have to figure out what I did wrong. There we go. Why? What? There's definitely something weird going on because my read all about it isn't being picked up. But I'll worry about that later. What I do want to worry about is like if I put a 1, 2, 3, 4 on here. Oh, it's okay with that. I could do article ID equals 1, and so it automatically handles the routing. That's kind of cool. If I do article /1, then we've got a broken route. So this is one thing that we need to figure out. When we do this, it's not routing to the right place. So let's figure this issue out. Let's figure out routing in analog, right? So here, if we go to the route metadata, and we want a route redirect, right? Add the redirect to and path match properties to the route metadata or route meta object inside the route file. Pages index page.ts. Redirect to home path match full. is a redirect from the slash to the home route. Which can be used to define a list of meta tags. So again, metadata. But what about overview? I'm curious, what I'm mostly curious about, so defining routes. There are 5 primary types of routes. There's the index routes, static routes, route groups. So under auth, you can have this, dynamic routes. We're going to be looking at this, right? So product ID pages. Okay, so that's how we would do our articles. So here we would need to create, under pages, we would need article, or articles, and then product ID or article ID, and then page. And then can we use, so with component input bindings, we can do that. So input, okay. So it's the same as before. We can just use input on it, and that'll be fine. And layout routes are defined by using a parent file and a child folder with the same name. Following structure below represents a layout route. So products.page.ts, product ID, and products list. So if they go to just products, then they'll hit the products list. Otherwise, if they hit the product ID, they'll hit that. But what I want to do, pathless layout routes, catch-all routes. That's what we want here, is a catch-all route. So app pages, and then it's ... page not found .page.ts defines a wildcard route. So it's the 3 dots at the front that cause the so we could do, like with a static route, with our static route, we could add the route metadata. That just routes them back to the index page. Where was that? Where was the route metadata? So static routes, you could import the route metadata. Using route component, nope. Layout routes. The catch-all routes. Oh, it was here. So inside of here, we could do a redirect route. So we could create the not found page, and then redirect to our home route. So to do that, we just do a catch-all. which is just named with the square brackets and 3 dots and then the name. So let's do that. So under pages, we'll add a new page, a new file. Our file name is going to be ... not found.ts. Oh, it probably needs to be .page.ts, right? So that it knows that it's a page. So there we go. So now we've got our not page.ts. And then inside of here, we need to make an Angular component, do we? With route metadata, with our redirect routes. So we don't even need the component. We just need to add this stuff to it, it looks like. So if we go in here, and we just paste this in for right now, the route meta, and we're just going to do a redirect to home, and that should work. Let's see if that works. So now if we go to, and let's refresh this. So now if I go to like /JSON, right? Nope, cannot match any routes. URL segment JSON. Oh, yeah, that's right. This is named improperly. It's not found .page.ts. So we'll go ahead and refactor that. There we go. Now it's a TS file. And now it will probably pick it up and compile it. Yeah, and it found a new page. So now if we go to /JSON, invalid configuration of route ***/ one of the following must be provided: component, load component, redirect to children, or load children. So redirect to, it's right there. At least it picked up our route, right? And we've got the redirect to. Create a redirect route, add the redirect to and path match properties to the route meta object inside the route file. Index page, so redirect to cities New York, path match full. Index.page.ts. Route meta tags. Open graph meta tags. Can also be used to define open graph meta tags for SEO. But I shouldn't need, routes can be defined for the sole purpose of redirecting to another route. Create a redirect route, add the redirect to and path match properties to the route meta object inside the file, which is what we did. Redirect route files should not export a component, which we aren't. It's also possible to find nested redirect routes. So that redirects to cities New York. So we are exporting the route meta. And we're redirecting to the home right here. We've got our path match of full on it. Let's just see if maybe it needs to rebuild the tree. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here, just trying to figure out what's going on and why the redirect isn't working. I'm concerned about the Nitro plugin error that we're getting, but it doesn't seem to be affecting us too much. And so, boom. So now if I hit /JSON, still cannot match any routes. URL segment JSON. No match error. The /home works. Oh, no, it doesn't. Just / works though, right? It does. So why was that working until I restarted it? Let's just redirect to the / route and see if that does anything. So here we'll go ahead and refresh. Server response, this hydration was not enabled. In the list of providers in the server part of the application configuration. So if we go to like /article here, we get the article. If we go to /articles, oh, now the redirect is working. Maybe /home didn't exist, and so it couldn't find it, and that was the error that we were getting. So if I put this back to /home, and now we go hit like the /JSON point. Yeah. Oh, but this is a different error. Detected possible infinite redirect when trying to redirect from home to home. Yeah. In a future major version. So yeah, I created a mess here because home is not found, and then we're trying to redirect to a not found route. So that's not good. But now if I do like /article /1, it's going to redirect back here because it doesn't understand that. So the next thing we can do is under pages, we can add a new folder or a new directory. We can call this directory articles. And then we can move our article page up under articles. And now we can rename this to match their overview here. So their dynamic routing, we just need to make this our article ID.page.ts. So here we can rename this, and this can be article ID.page.analog. And we'll refactor that. And now we're getting a snail. I don't know why I'm getting a snail here and a, what is that? Is that a React symbol here and a view symbol here? I don't know what all of these mean. But now we go here, and now I go to /article /1. That's not working. It's articles. So /articles/1. We don't get there. Invalid configuration of route, article ID. One of the following must be provided. Component, load component, redirect to children, or load children. We are providing a component with the analog file. I wonder if the analog file is not working. So we'll take off the read all about it stuff here and see what happens. So articles/1, and now it works. I don't know why. That is interesting. One thing I'm curious about is, where did my header go? Because here it is there. And it's in my app component, right? So in my app component, oh, we just have the router outlet. That's where my header went. My header's in the wrong place. It's here, right? Yep. Let's see what that does for us. Now my header is gone. Why is my header gone? There are no errors. Let's take the flex none off of this. That shouldn't affect anything, but so if we refresh, we go and inspect this. There is my header right there. Oh. It's changed it to a semantic header. The reason is that in my article, in my home page, I'm importing header. That's the problem. That's the problem. So here I need to add that import header from pages / pages right. So here we're in the app. There's pages, home, header. So here we also need header. But it doesn't like this path. Am I getting this error also here? No. But I bet I'm getting it here. Does not provide an export named header. And it's not analog.ts. And if I add the with back on it, there's the with analog imports, and here we just add header. We're using header there. So we don't have interesting. I've got the server config going. I don't know why this one isn't working. We don't even need the dot on these. Oh, we do. So here we're saying dot data dash access. That's right there. And here we're doing dot pages slash home or home slash header component. And if we take this off, and here let's just do testing 1, 2, through 4, just to see if we tested. If we get that in our does not provide did we get the testing 1, 2, 3, 4 in here? Yep, there it is right there. Let's see what damage I've done. So an app component, we can revert this. We'll discard the changes here. We can discard the changes here. And stage these changes. Just say that we added routing and articles page. So there's that. How do we want to do this? Because now I don't know. I'll need to figure this out, I think. But for right now, the header's here. We'll pick this up on Sunday. I definitely need to end now. But thank you everybody for being here. We got our styling figured out, and we'll figure out this routing stuff too, because I'm curious. I want to do markdown files. We'll have to figure out how we want to do that. So thank you, TBD Gamer, for being here. Yeah, we'll pick this up on Sunday. But thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here. And you